Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome from wherever you're joining around the world. Good to have everyone on the call. I wanted to just give us a couple of minutes to remind our friends and people that we think would benefit from this session to please join in. I really do want us to have an interesting conversation this afternoon. So please take 1 minute, if I can give everyone 1 minute, to please share the link to your friends on your status, as the case may be, and get them to join in, because I think this is one of the most important conversations that we're going to have. Yeah, H1, because half year is coming to an end. Today's the 27th of June. And if there is any better time for you to start making important, critical decisions about your financial health, now is the time. So please take 1 minute. I will do the same to also post the link on my WhatsApp status. So please also give me 1 minute to make sure I post on my WhatsApp status to invite everyone. So please go ahead and do the same, and then we will be back in 1 minute. Thank you. Thank you all so much. Thank you for the updates on the chat for those that actually have posted. Thank you for sharing that update. Yeah, I think we have a good enough number to start the conversation. More people will join in. We are also recording this session, and as much as possible, we'll try and upload it on our YouTube channel so that everyone can also have access to it, and just go back and digest the conversation that we're having today, and we'll take it from there. So just very quickly, I'm going to start my presentation because there's a lot to talk about today. And I know that some people have come here with questions, and I want us to have good enough time to also address questions that would come up in the conversations today. So I will just jump straight into the conversation today. Okay, for those who don't know me, I will start my presentation today with a very short story about myself. But for the purpose of what we would call a nice introduction, my name is Nkiruka Okere, and I do a lot of things. But much more than what I do, I think one thing that has been driving me in the last couple of years is the need to see people thrive in different aspects of their lives. And somehow it's just been all around wealth creation, wealth building, and just ensuring that people are able to live their best lives. And then I happen to be in insurance. I think I'm not even sure if I thought about it as something that I would be doing, because my background training is in nursing. I'm a registered nurse. Yorubas say it's nurse alabere, I think. Yeah, those nurses that will give you, I mean, beautiful injections. My injections were like the best. You'd never feel when I give you injections. But somehow the journey has just translated from being a nurse to moving into quality management in healthcare. And from that point, moved into management consulting. And now we're in InsurTech. But when I got into insurance, one of the beautiful things that I noted was that people had a poor understanding of insurance and how insurance worked. And I realized that there's so much more that we can do in the conversation around insurance. And so I took up the baton of leadership or responsibility, as the case may be, to start talking about insurance conversations and just how we can weave in or build a synergy between insurance, wealth creation, and people living their best lives, regardless of the economies that they are in. Yeah. So, welcome to our first webinar in the Coach InsureNG series. Coach Insure is one of my many expressions and a platform that is geared and dedicated to providing guidance around insurance conversations and helping people make the best choices in terms of how to stay protected from different risks that they're exposed to. So today we're speaking about how entry-level investors can build portfolio on a budget. But before we move in there, let me take you through my journey. This was me in 2018. And I know some people would be like, was that really you in 2018? You know, this thing that they say, God covers your shame, or God covers you because you don't look like what you're going through. That was me in 2018. And in 2018, I was a salary earner, as I still am now. And I'd gone through a major life shift. I had just been separated in my marriage. And when I left that marriage, I literally left that marriage with 5,000 naira in my bank account to my name. Now, you would think that, I mean, you look like a well-dressed human being. You look like you were earning well. So why did you just have 5,000 naira to your name? Because at the time, I had no financial knowledge. I knew that I earned a salary. I had money in my bank account. And when money comes, we do what we're supposed to use money for. We spend it, right? And I realized that at the point where there was a major shift in my life, all that I could look back at and say, this is what belonged to me, was this 5,000 naira. And you can imagine the confusion that I was in. And I'm praying that nobody, ever gets to that point. But if you are, I'm a testament that something that was bad can also, get really good. And I was confused as to where to start. And then in 2019, in that confusion, I decided to start rebuilding my life. And one of the biggest things that I needed to do in terms of rebuilding was finding ways to start to multiply my money. So this conversation, I really want to gear it towards salary earners. If you're an entrepreneur in this room, or if you're also listening to this video after this session and you're an entrepreneur, please don't think that this is not also for you. But I've heard several times when people say that, oh, as a salary earner, you can't do so much with your money. You can't, you can't live life. You can't be accomplished. You can't build wealth. And I have seen examples of people that are salary earners and are building a life for themselves. And I said to myself, okay, what's going to be the big deal in trying this thing out? And so in 2019, I started rebuilding. And the reason why I'm highlighting this story is so that you can see that sometimes all it takes is the discipline and the consistency to say that I want to do this. At the time, based on what I was earning and where I was in my life, I couldn't do anything more than 1,000 naira a month. And I put that money on a monthly basis into a mutual fund. And I would see that the money is growing. You know, you put 1,000 naira somewhere, and then by the end of the month, you've seen some interest on it. You get your portfolio summary, and you see interest. Without me doing so much, just putting money here, this money is multiplying. I was really, excited. And I did that every month. Now in 2026, 1,000 naira sounds like some ridiculous amount, but this is coming from someone who did not used to save or invest in any way, any form or shape. I started with mutual funds. And then by the next year, 2020, we've now entered into COVID year. I realized, okay, 1,000 naira wasn't bad. I didn't die. I can do 5,000 naira. And I moved on to 5,000 naira, and I was doing 5,000 naira every month judiciously. Whether or not I could do anything else, my mind was, I have promised myself. It felt like I was paying myself a salary, even though I received my salary, but I felt like every time I set money aside to this investment, it was me paying myself salary. So I put the money in 5,000 naira every month the next year. And then one of the things that I realized was that I had the benefit of my company's health insurance and pensions that, when I was ill, I'd go to hospital. I didn't have to pay money out of pocket, which was good because I couldn't afford to dip my hands into my investment at the time. So I was really excited. And then in 2021, we still continue now. COVID has shown us shaggy. Now everybody's trying to recuperate and come back to life as it is. And then 2022, I had a new job in 2021, end of 2021. And then, of course, I now earned a bit more than what I was earning before. What I also did in that time was to ensure that my quality of life was consistent. I wasn't living poorer, but I wasn't living more exorbitant or flamboyant than I was before. And then my mom had a health issue. She'd gotten to the menopausal age, and when people are in that stage, today is blood pressure, tomorrow is this, next tomorrow is that. And I needed to take her to the hospital for a medical checkup. I ended up liquidating my investment, the bulk of it. I mean, this is my mom I'm talking about. She's my only surviving parent. And so if I needed to bring out money from my pocket to do anything for my mom, I would be more than happy to do that for my mom. So I liquidated my investment just because I wanted to be able to pay for her to be able to go to the hospital and, get seen. I think I spent roughly about 400 and something thousand naira at that session. So they did the entire blood works, scans, x-rays, everything top to bottom. And then, of course, we had the results, follow-up consultations with the doctors, and then we realized, she was going to need consistent management going further as she's gotten to her old age. Now, what that did for me, from an investment point of view, it kind of took me back to ground zero. And I said to myself, if someone is relying on me and I'm building wealth, then I have to reimagine what this wealth would look like and how I'm going to manage it. And so it took me back to the foundation of how can I create a great structure to be able to build wealth. I'm still on the journey, and I know many of you on this call are still on that journey. Some people have not started, and I don't want you to be discouraged at all. They said the best time to start anything is now, not yesterday, not last week, not last year when you had a great gig. No, is now. So I had to sit down to reimagine it. For me to build the structure that I need, what do I need to have in place? I asked myself the question, what are the risks that I'm exposed to? I highlighted what those risks are, what insurance protection can cover me and the people who depend on me. What are the protections that I can put in place? I mean, if any of my siblings are here on this call, they can confirm. We had a very frank conversation as a family to say, every single one of you, please get health insurance. If you are offered a job, part of what I'm a sucker for, yes, your net pay is fantastic. It's always good to negotiate that. Much more than that. Oh, my sister is here. Hi, Angie. Thank you for confirming that. Much more than that, please also ensure that you negotiate your benefits properly. And I'll explain what I mean. You are a married man with 2 or 3 children, you get a job, and the office HMO is going to offer you health insurance that will cover you and your wife. You have 2 or 3 children that are under the age of 10, and that age would require many hospital visits. So it means that if you've not negotiated your health insurance or benefit package properly, you will end up spending a lot of money out of pocket looking after your children, even though your office has given you health insurance. So I found out that in that season, I was sharing to a lot of my friends and my siblings, if you're offered a job, please look at the benefits that they're giving to you and measure it against the risk that you're exposed to and ensure that you are fully covered. If you do have health insurance, fantastic. If you now look at it and say, oh, I don't have pension, please ensure that you have pension. Now, fantastic thing the National Pension Commission has done. They have now introduced voluntary pension, contribution, so that if you're an entrepreneur and you are not under the corporate scheme of pensions, you can voluntarily be putting in money aside towards your pension, your retirement, which I think is fantastic. So whether or not you are a salary earner or you are an entrepreneur or you are a creative, it is amazing to see that you can put and set aside money every month or every time you have funds into your retirement. I don't know if my other sister is also on this call, who's a celebrity makeup artist. I remember at the time that I said to her, yes, you are a one-man business with people under you, but it will also be good for you to have health insurance as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, such that you don't keep touching your revenue when it comes in because you have to go to hospital. And I'm really grateful that she took that advice and she went ahead and got health insurance that covered her. And of course, makeup artists and the kind of work that they do, if it's not back pain today, it's malaria tomorrow, is this next tomorrow. And every time she went to the hospital, that was sorted out. So I reimagined what wealth would look like, so that every risk that I'm exposed to, it is protected in one way, form, or shape. Now, when I did that and I built that insurance, definitely I got health insurance for my mom. And so she's on a plan that ensures that no matter what happens to her, before I would bring out cash from my hand, maybe the health insurance and maybe like 20 or 30 or 40 million first before cash will come out of my hand, right? But even with knowledge of that, we are still putting her on a preventive process such that if there's a chronic condition that she needs to manage, we manage it properly with her. Even though sometimes it can be very funny, these old people that are very blessed, but we manage it with her preventatively so that we don't get to the point where we are now reacting based on what has happened. And when I reimagined wealth in that way and built the insurance foundation to build wealth, let me tell you what happened afterwards. I realized that I had more money to save. Now, I'll give you an example. The first time I bought health insurance for my mom, I told you that I spent over 400 and something thousand for her tests and her checkups. The insurance that I got for her for the entire year that could give her everything I paid for her health checkup and more was about 220 20 something thousand naira. So I had extra 180K that I had as spare money I could save. Of course, I put that money into my investment. When I de-risked myself from all the other things that I was exposed to, I realized that I had more money to save. Now, having more money to save means that I now have extra cash to be able to focus on building wealth the way that I want to build wealth. And for everyone, your wealth strategy might be different. You might want to do portfolio management in just stocks. And I have my team from our good friends from Zedcrest who will be taking over from me in a couple of minutes. They will share different strategies for investment. And I really want you to please pay attention, because you can decide to mix and match based on what your own personal goal is. But there has to be a goal. And for the first time in my life, I saw that my money was working for me. Do you know the joy that you get when you're not thinking about money and then you just get a message or dividend payments, and the dividend payment that's coming to you is millions? And let me even tell you how funny it is that this year, the dividend that I got this year was close to my salary that I was going to get in a month. So I was saying to myself that, if you continue this thing that you're doing in Nkiruka, it means that you will get to a point that you can say to yourself, I don't want to work for 1 month, because I know that my dividend can cover my entire salary for 1 month. And this is me. I'm telling you, this is 2023. I started actively putting in money into portfolio. I tried with stocks. I did mutual fund, and I moved from mutual funds to stocks. I still do both, to equity fund, and I'm using the Zedcrest equity fund currently. And I have seen growth in the different portfolios that I have. So I'm not one of those people that will say, and a lot of people do this, let me make it to the top first before I teach any other person or tell them what is working for me. I think one of the things that got me really upset was that I wish that someone had told me earlier. I wish that I knew this earlier. I wish that this information had been shared earlier. Those days when I was earning money and I was just wasting money and doing nothing with the money, I wish I had known earlier about this, and I would have, done well. I mean, who knows? And so what I started doing was to pay it forward. I'm, by the grace of God, managing a community, Faith Sisters community, a group of global women with an agenda. And one of the things that I knew at the time that God was pulling me to do was to teach people about wealth with purpose, about wealth management, about just engaging themselves with what God has put in their hands to do and how to steward it properly. And I also started talking about and demystifying financial growth, because there's also that thing as a woman where people feel like, oh, no, don't worry, you don't need to have your own money, calm down. And I'm not even saying this from a feminist point of view, so please, I'm not a feminist. I'm not even saying it from that point of view. I'm saying that it got to a point where it became important to teach people and tell people that there's something here, and I'm hoping that you can pay attention and try to apply the same principles to get better. I started with these webinar sessions that I would do with my community every other quarter, and then moved or expanded this conversation with my mentorship group, Thrive with Kiki group, and then Kiki Circle, just sharing with people why investment was important, why management of your wealth is critical. Because when people talk about wealth, think about the Dangotes, they think about the Elumelus, and then you first of all like remove yourself from the equation, like, nah, I can't get there. But those guys started from somewhere, even if some of them had leverage. But there was a consistency in their story, there was a diligence in their story, and there's the stewardship in their stories. And that has brought us to where we are today. When I started making content around investment, insurance, and leadership, a lot of the things that people were talking about was, oh, how do we know what to do? How can we manage? And I said to myself, I'm not an expert in the investment space. I've just been fortunate and blessed enough that I have been engaged or taught how to manage my own investment, because again, I have a goal and my goal might not be the same as your goal. But it was important for me to help people not make the mistake that I made. And which is why I'm bringing in the insurance conversation. That insurance is not a cost. It is the foundation of wealth. Every single year, as the year begins, I do my insurance policy audit. Which one is expiring? Which one needs to be updated? Which one do I need to change? Which one do I need to? I do that review and I ensure that all of my insurance costs, I have settled them and I've paid them, so that any extra funds that comes to me from salary or any other side gig that I do goes straight into my investment portfolio. Before you invest, please protect. Before you build, please insure. Wealth that is protected is wealth on borrowed time. And I use myself as an example, and I'm happy that it happened to me, so it shouldn't happen to you again. And I think that the crux of my journey or my story is that I've been able to learn now that protection can also mean that I'm really driving preservation with my wealth. I have peace of mind knowing that if anything happens today, my family, my mom is covered. And before I get to the point where I'm able to now bring out funds to do anything, at least we would have gone some significant length in terms of the thing that should already protect her, in place. I've also seen how we can leverage very quickly without losing things. And there are many insurance tools that give you access to life insurance for yourself or for your family members that also come with some savings element or some investment element in it. And in other places in the world, we've seen how insurance is also a significant wealth transfer tool. I won't go too much into that today because that's not the crux of the conversation. But I will be handing over to my team, our good friends at Zedcrest, and I'm just going to leave everyone with this one last one last conversation. Your wealth journey starts here if you decide that this is where it starts, or if you decide that today is where it starts. When we created Coach Insure, it was really to help people to be able to build lasting wealth through smart insurance planning. So please do feel free to reach out to us. Our numbers are there. If you did find us via our social media platforms, you can always reach out to us and book a one-on-one session to go through the current risk exposure and see how you can be better advised and managed to be able to start to build wealth when necessary. And then we have our good friends here from Zedcrest. They have, I don't want to talk about the long story of how I got into the conversation with Zedcrest, but I have done my due diligence with them. And for those who know me, know that I just don't partner or work with people that I haven't done my due diligence on. And I am very comfortable to be able to recommend them and their services to be used by anyone and everyone. So if your hands are not too busy, please join me and welcome Victoria. Victoria is the regional manager for wealth at Zedcrest, Nigeria. I'm going to ask her to please take over and take us through some of the beautiful offerings that we have from Zedcrest. And I also shared with her that some people in the diaspora had reached out to say, oh, Nkiruka, yes, we hear you and all the beautiful things about wealth. Please, we in the diaspora, we must not lose out on what is happening because Nigeria is growing at a beautiful sporadic rate and we want to be able to take part of what is happening. So I also giving her that hint. So Victoria, over to you.
Good afternoon, Nkiru, and good afternoon to everyone on the call. It's a great pleasure to be here. And Thank you for that session, Nkiru. It was very insightful. I know that I've done a bit of insurance, but after this presentation, I think I've gotten hyped to want to take a lot more of these policies because, like you said, it's important to protect your wealth so that at the end of the day, you have sustainable results from your wealth creation journey. Thank you so much. So again, I'll introduce myself. I'm Victoria Ehiriodo, and I work with Zedcrest Wealth as the regional head for Abuja. And with me on the call are my colleagues, Favor Oladapo, and then there's Favor Ake, and they'll be taking or handling different bits. Favor will assist, share the slide, and then Ake, on the other hand, would handle the tournament session. So to go right into it, first off, I'd like to say that I think that everyone on this call is really lucky to be on this call. And thank you. If we can give a round of applause to Nkiru for putting this together, because I don't think that we do a lot of work with regards to financial literacy as we should. Yes, thankfully, we've had a lot of interventions that we see on social media now, but that's sort of like different from having experts who you can trace to a particular institution where they've been able to deliver results consistently, right? It's different when you have these people to hold your hand and then guide you through the journey. Yes, you can leverage some of the materials you see on social media, but an opportunity that connects you like this with professionals who are in the business to guide you and then hold your hand through this journey, I think that's one that should be really appreciated. And like Nkiru said, essentially the focus of today's session is to speak to how entry-level investors can build portfolios on a budget. And this is quite encouraging because I know I've been in different sessions before where people think that they need quite a lot of sum to start out investing, right? That can never be the truth, right? So no matter how little you start, just like in Nkiru's story, you can build something very substantial over a period of time. All you just need to do is find a strategy that works for you. And it's important to personalize this journey because, again, I'll still refer to some of the materials we see online provided by different people, some of which we may not be able to verify and all of that. It's important also to have something that speaks to you directly. Some of the things we see out there, they're quite generic, right? But one of the advantages you're able to leverage when you work with somebody who can guide you through different finance and investment conversations is that you have ready access to sort of like tailor it down to, okay, this is how much I earn, this is how much I'm looking to put aside, this is my investment goal. And then we work hand in hand with you on that journey. Before we dive right into the different smart strategies to wealth creation, right? I'll start out by speaking to who we are as a business. Zedcrest Wealth, which is where I work, is a subsidiary of Zedcrest Group. And we have like different other subsidiaries that provide financial services that are tailored to meet different kinds of investor needs. So basically, that says that Zedcrest Group is a place where you can access end-to-end financial solutions to meet whatever kinds of needs that you have. As Zedcrest Wealth, well, should I say, fund and portfolio managers. What we do is we're able to provide wealth management solutions to people who want to invest their funds, whether they be whether they are low risk investors, high risk investors, wherever they are, whether they have little sums. Basically for anyone, right? We have different products that are suited to different kinds of investor needs, suited to different risk appetites and all of that stuff. Our other subsidiaries, I'll speak first to one of them, which is Zedcrest Capital. Zedcrest Capital essentially is the arm of the business that does a lot of fixed income trading. Essentially, what you would see at Zedcrest Capital is a lot of transactions related to stuff like investment banking, fixed income trading, like I mentioned. And at Zedcrest Capital, they combine basically a strong track record in sub-Saharan Africa, because they have access to the fixed income markets there and the currency markets as well. And that sort of enables them to deliver tailored solutions to both institutional and individual clients, really. So they're able to provide a lot of services from corporate finance advisory, raising of capital, technology-enabled solutions that sort of like support some capital market related needs, right? And the other subsidiary that we have is the Zedcrest Finance. So for Zedcrest Finance, that's the consumer lending arm of Zedcrest Group. Essentially, what they do is they provide loans to both the private and public sector, right? So they provide these loans to employees in these spaces. And over the years, Zedcrest has been able to service a growing number of Nigerians, right, through their innovative solutions. And since they commenced operation in March 2014, the company has done a whole lot. And I mean, I'll be right to say they are the front runner in developing technology that has driven results that we've seen in terms of consumer lending business in Nigeria. The other subsidiary that we have at Zedcrest is the Leatherback. Leatherback sort of like is a payment solution that allows people who are on the Leatherback platform to do cross-currency conversions. Say, for example, you don't have a dollar account, right? You can onboard on Leatherback, quickly create a USD account, and then you're able to do transfers. And those transfers you can convert into another currency. For example, you want to convert into the pounds or any other currency of your choice and have your recipient credited. And that's done within the same day. And your recipient gets value in their own bank accounts. That's the Leatherback business. And they do a lot of currency derivatives as well. And then there's the Zedcrest Securities. So, I mean, Zedcrest Securities is essentially the stockbroking arm of Zedcrest. What do? They offer a wide range of, should I call it, best-in-class equity trade execution, right? So you want to buy any of the stocks listed on the stock exchange, that's the Nigerian Stock Exchange, you can access that when you onboard with Zedcrest Securities. And these services are readily available on our mobile banking app to individuals who want to be able to buy stock or sell stock or just do anything basically equity related, right? You can do that. And this is accessible by both institutional and individual clients as well. And this is not limited to people who are in Nigeria. So this is an opportunity also for people in diaspora who want to say on board on a stockbroking platform, right? Also, we typically would encourage a lot of us to tap into opportunities such as stuff like this Dangote refinery IPO that is coming up. We are joint stockbrokers on the IPO as well. So what that means for you is that if you're on board on the stockbroking platform, once that IPO is open, you're able to participate. And as stockbroker on the IPO, that definitely means that if there's any chance to get 100% allotment, that will definitely happen through the stockbroker that is on the IPO. Why? That's because our orders go straight to the order book. There's no intermediary, no party in between, it's straight to the order book and all of that bits. And I mean, for the Zedcrest Securities, the business is even beyond buying and trading of stocks. We do a lot of margin lending as well. Not to bore you all of that, but I will go into a bit more of that much later. I just thought it was important to flesh out who we are as a business so that you understand what we do and the credibility of our business. All right. So basically for today, the focus would be to speak to why we should invest and to speak to how we can build wealth. How can we build wealth? What are the steps to take from where you are? And what is the gap you need to bridge to be where you want to be in terms of your wealth creation journey? And then what are these investment products that we have available at Zedcrest to support that journey? Then finally, we'll take you through how you can get started, right? First off, why should you start early? I mean, there are a number of reasons that I've been stating here, but think about it. What would be the alternative to just keep your funds idly in the bank account? Would that be the alternative? Definitely not, because you'll be losing out on a lot of value that you can gain when you invest your funds. And no matter how little you earn, the truth is you sort of empower yourself financially when you have your funds invested anyways. right? As long as you're picking the right investment vehicle to drive the kind of results that you want to see after establishing, of course, your risk appetite, after establishing your investment objective, right? And then reaching a conclusion as to the time horizon with which you want to achieve that investment goal. You definitely will be better off if you have your funds invested than leaving your funds idly doing nothing for you. And this is important. And I'd like to encourage us as much as possible for as many people that you can get connected to these sort of opportunities, do so. And the reason is simple. I, for one, I wish that I started out a lot early. You will think that because I work in an investment company, I probably knew this thing a lot earlier and I started my own journey early, right? No, you're wrong. So I worked with Stanbic IBTC Asset Management for about 8 years before joining Zedcrest Wealth. And yes, I worked with the asset management arm of the business. So meaning my job was to guide and advise clients on how to build wealth, how to multiply their funds, right? And to achieve the kind of return that they were looking to achieve. But I wasn't doing that for myself, and that's very possible. In fact, I dare say that a lot of us in the finance space who work in the finance space are pretty much guilty as well. Not a lot of people actually latch onto as much opportunities as we have to multiply wealth for ourselves. And the reason is simple. It's something you have to decide to do very consciously and consistently, right? So I could relate to something that Nkiru said sometime rather when she was speaking at some point, and she said something which was that she was investing funds, right? But then it wasn't growing, and that's my case. That's also because I would invest the money today, and before you know, I've pulled out the funds and I've spent it on something that is not yielding money for me by any standard. And I don't know. I think that this is probably also common with a lot of us in this part of the world, and that's also because of black tax and stuff like that. So I'm a first child, and I have 4 siblings, right? And I felt like, oh, this is my responsibility. I have to contribute to sort of like supporting their educational journey. That is not bad. That is very good. But you also have to create some form of room to creating something for yourself, right? Which is something we have to do intentionally as we earn, whether we're salary earners, whether we're entrepreneurs who are making business income. You have to make sure that while you're catering to all of your people, your dependents and all, you keep aside a portion of your fund invested in something, not just saving. Saving is good culture, right? But then you have to take it a step further. Whatever you have saved, you have to invest it. Because if you leave it in the bank account, for example, or however else you save funds, which is not investing, you're losing value. Now, what was one of the reasons to start early? One of the reasons you want to start early is you are able to outpace inflation. What does that mean? A lot of times, market conditions, not a lot of times, it's a norm. Market conditions can never be static, right? And part of those market conditions would be inflation. Inflation keeps moving here and there. And if you do not invest your funds, what happens to those funds is that they lose value over time. And that's because as inflation figures continue to rise, you, on the other hand, you're not doing anything to sort of multiply that fund. So at the end of the day, say 1 million naira today is what, for example, depending on how fast inflation rises, 1 million naira may be worth, say, for example, 800,000 or 600,000 in a couple of months. If uninvested, that's one reason why you should invest, because over time, funds lose value where they are not invested. The other reason is to enjoy compounding growth. Funds that you invest, depending on what product you choose, some products are able to give you the advantage of compounding interest. What does that mean? So you invest in a product today and that product earns interest for you over a period of time. After a while, that interest that you have earned begins to earn for you as if it is your capital, right? That's what compounding interest is in very simple terms. So if you're able to enjoy this kind of opportunities, why would you rather choose to just leave your fund idly in the bank account? The other reason why we should think and consider strongly investing early is because at the end of the day, the goal is we want to be able to do a lot more. We want to be able to empower ourselves financially. Why? Because everybody has a goal. Everybody wants to do one thing or the other. Some people want to be able to, buy properties, buy new cars, fund a particular lifestyle, and all of that. But the foundation is that you need to ensure that every bit of your penny works for you and you don't have any bits lying idly. So that's what it does for you when you invest your funds. When you invest your funds, what you do is you're no longer leaving your funds idle, right? You're able to open opportunities to increase your cash flow from the interest earnings that you would make or from dividends that you earn from investing in stocks, for example. That's one of the other reasons why people should invest early. And as much as we can, please let's encourage people around us. One of the strategies I employed when I was telling my story before I moved to another bit was one of the things I did also was when I realized that a lot of my funds go to my dependents, right? And they're my siblings, four of them. I thought about it. I give these people allowance on a regular. What stops them from also cultivating the investment culture now? Let them start earning money too, so that that burden over time reduces, right? Not to say that I expect that those allowances, when invested, all of a sudden will be able to pay their school fees. No, what that does, or when you do that, is that they are also able to cultivate the investment culture, and they're also able to then start in earning returns on those funds, and then the burden reduces on your own funds, and then you have the ability to also create a lot more wealth for yourself. So there's a line here that says investing is an essential requirement to secure your financial freedom, outpace inflation, and then build long-term wealth. While you're doing this investment, please carry all your family people, carry all your friends along. All those ones that always come and demand urgent 2K, carry them along too, so that over time, there'll be no need to have to refer to you for any of that bit. And something else that Nkiru said was that the best time to invest is now. That has never been a lie. So for those who feel like, oh, I should have started a lot earlier, for example, have worked with a number of clients who wish that they started their investment in stocks really early. So when they were looking at the ASI for 2026 so far, they were like, so if I had invested, even if it's this my 20 million, or this my 10 million, or this my 5 million, this is how much I would have gained by investing in some of these stocks. And the truth is, yes, that time has passed, but there's another time now before us. For those of us who are not investing in any of these things, yes, you may have delayed in going ahead with that decision to invest a portion of your fund and take that decision to the next level by maintaining consistency. But now is another opportunity for you to do that. So yesterday is gone. Today is another day. What are we going to do? Right? So it's important to start now. There's no better time than now, right? So take this opportunity, learn as much as you can learn, and then take your investment conversation seriously. But before we delve right into the investment itself, one of the things to do first is, before you start investing, you need to first of all establish where you are, right? In terms of your earnings, what's the cash flow you have currently? Are you just a salary earner? Do you have any extra source of income? If you invest already, what's the level of cash flow that you're seeing from that investment? Are there opportunities to increase that opportunity for you within your risk appetite? Answer those questions as honestly as possible. It's important to do that, and then ascertain where does your money go to. So I have a bank account where on a monthly basis they send me an analysis of my account to show me, oh, the expenses I made, where all those expenses went to, how much I spent on electricity, how much I spent on XYZ, and all of that. And part of what supports that analysis for the bank, part of why they're able to do the analysis of my expenses is also because of the narration I do on those transactions. And every month, when I look at that analysis, I'm able to tell where are these funds going to, my expenses, where are the majority of my funds going to in terms of catering to whatever expenditures that I have, right? It's important to have something that guides you along that line so that you're able to tell clearly, where does your money go to? The money you get, okay, what does the outflow look like, right? It's important to note that down. And one of the reasons why it's important to do that is so that you can then tell, okay, what portion of this money that comes to me, what portion of this can go into stuff like, say, the investment conversation, emergency fund, and I mean, we were then able to sort of like have a clear sight of how to structure our funds, right? Now, budgeting is important for this reason. When you budget, you're able to tell yourself, okay, this is how much I earn, for example, on a monthly basis or on an annual basis for those who prefer to do annual budgets. If you're able to do your budget, right, you're then able to tell where you want XYZ to go. For example, say you earn 1 million naira and you have, let's say, 10 line items that your funds must be split into in terms of expenditure. You're then able to apportion clearly to say, okay, because I want to achieve XYZ in savings or as fund that I'm keeping aside for investment, I can reapportion some of these bits a little into this other kidda so that I have more allowance to sort of like invest, or I have more allowance to sort of flesh out my emergency fund. And for the emergency fund, what is an emergency fund really? An emergency fund is fund that you keep aside to cater to unplanned, should I say, needs, right? Say, for example, your car breaks down or you have an unplanned expense you have to make towards medical bills. Say someone falls ill in the family, right? We don't pray for any of these things to happen. But then in the eventuality that these things occur, how does it pressure your finance? You want to ensure that it doesn't put a lot of pressure on your finances, which is why it's important to set up an emergency fund. I cannot shout this enough. I've seen many investors who started out their investment journey, but somewhere along the line, right, especially for those who start out by investing in products that give them a great deal of flexibility in terms of access to their fund. I have seen a lot of investors who start out, for example, today, and then 3 months or 5 months down the line, they have come back to remove those funds to attend to unplanned things like, say, for example, medical needs or unplanned trips and stuff like that. And the truth is, you can't force them to hold and keep the funds in these investments, right? What we only then do in instances like that is to shout the need to have an emergency fund that you build over a period of time. Take, for example, with these pie charts that we're projecting on the screen, the recommendation is that you set aside 20% of your income, right, as an emergency fund. So if you earn 1 million naira, let's say, you're expected that you keep at least 200,000 aside to some form of emergency fund account that you have set up for yourself. Why is it important? It's important so that you have your investments running regardless of when these emergencies eventually arise. Right. And then on the other hand, we talk about the risk appetite. It's important to establish clearly where you are. I've seen quite a number of people who would pride themselves as medium risk investors or high risk investors. And then one small investment that they do in stock, and then there's a fluctuation that negatively impacts their funds. They've already run out to pull the money. That's not the high risk investor, right? One of the things you use to discern and then tell, oh, am I a high risk investor or low risk investor, is your stamina in times of negative performance, for example, in the stock market. If you've invested, say, a particular amount of money and you've split it across different stocks, and then you see that a number of those your stocks begin to perform negatively. If you have high blood pressure or you experience anxiety when you see those funds perform negatively, that definitely tells you that you are a low risk investor, because typically high risk investors have the stomach for when risk crystallize like that in those investments that they do, and they begin to see downward trend in the performance that then turns into a negative, right? But for investors who are low risk, it's best to work within your risk appetite and stay within that lane, at least for your initial investment circle. Let me put it that way. Right. So what are the ways that we recommend that you split your funds? We typically will recommend that we keep 50% of our funds to funding our living expenses. You have to pay for electricity, for those who pay water bill, for those who have to fuel their cars, buy food supplies, and all of that stuff. Whatever classifies as living expenses, funds that you will spend to sort of like meet your basic needs, that falls under living expenses, right? And then for the investment bit, we typically would recommend that you set aside 20% of your total income. Set it aside for investment. Then you set aside another 20% for your emergency fund. And then finally, 10% for lifestyle. Let's say you like to hang out every now and then. Make sure that that stays within 10% of your income. Now, this is where a lot of people miss it. And that's because some investors, when they start out their journey, they don't tell themselves the honest truth. Some people just assume, oh no, I want to build because I have a target to reach, say for example, 8 million naira in the next 10 months, and I earn 1.2 million naira. What you see for those kind of people is they put aside 800,000. They set out to put out 800,000. Meanwhile, they know that they are directly responsible for catering to all of their living expenses, electricity, transport to work, transport to different places, skincare needs, and all of that stuff. If you don't tell yourself the honest truth about how much you need to keep aside for your living expenses, which would typically be your basic needs, if you do not arrive at a correct estimate of what portion of your fund you need to set aside. Now, this is not rigid. So it's not to say that if you exceed 20% in your 50% rather than your living expense. That's not to say that you have made a mistake and that you cannot sort of achieve anything tangible for investment or emergency funds. That's not the case. This is just a guide, right? The goal really is whatever you're doing, do it consistently. If you're able to set funds aside to cater to these different brackets, right, and you're able to do it consistently, there's no way you wouldn't see results over a period of time. Now, what are the steps to start investing today? First off is that you need to set out a monthly budget for investing, which is something I've hinted earlier already. Decide, how much do I want to invest? Now, we've shown you how to cater to different parts of your finance, your living expense, your emergency fund, and your investment bit, and then lifestyle and fund bit. It's important to make sure, what I do, for example, personally, is that I have come to a realistic percentage that I want to keep aside for investment every month. And I keep aside that money. Once I have done what I would do typically, which is like pay tithe and all, I just keep aside the investment sum first, right? I keep aside that one. And then for the other bits, when I then keep aside the percentage I want for the investment and the percentage I want to keep aside for the emergency fund, I'm able to then split the fund across the other things that I want to do. One is, after you have done that, your monthly budget, right? Establish how much clearly do you want to set aside every month in that your budget. Once you've done it, then the next step is that you want to then open an investment account. Now, before you open an investment account, it's important to have conversations with a professional guide that will guide you along the lines of your investment objective, which you have to state very clearly, right? And then along the lines, someone who will then advise you along the lines of what you are open to exploring along the, let's say, within your risk appetite. And then finally, what period of time are you looking to invest this money for? Typically, we advise people to have a long-term view for their investment. So if you have one form of short-term investment you want to do, and maybe you have a short-term investment goal, right, to fund a short-term goal, real-life goal now, it's important to have a long-term goal that guides your investment decision. So I'm sure there are a number of us on this call who, for example, want to purchase properties or want to buy a car or whatever it is. We want to save towards educational needs of our children or our own educational needs, right? Depending on where you are along the lines of your earnings and your expenses, right? The time frame would vary for each person, definitely. Now, when you've arrived at your investment goal and how long it will take you to achieve that investment goal, it's important to realistically set out with your professional guide now, who is your finance and investment person, who will guide you along the lines of, okay, this is what we should do. This is the product you should invest in so that you're able to reach this your goal. Now, for example, if you're looking to save funds towards let's say a retiree who's looking to invest funds so that they sustain monthly cash flow, I would definitely be restricted to products that are low risk in nature. Why? That's because I sort of understand that this person is no longer in active employment, and this person may not even have a business that gives them cash flow, right? So it's important that I protect this person's fund in a product that allows for the capital to be preserved, and then they get the monthly cash flow that sustains their daily needs, right? That's one. We have investors who truly this is their goal. Oh. There are investors who their own goal is not to build house, their own goal is not to buy car. Maybe they've done all of that and they're in that place of their investment circle where they are more about preserving wealth, right? And then sort of like meeting daily cash, let me say daily liquidity needs rather that they have, whether for themselves or their dependents, and that's it, and that's fine for them, right? So it's important to work closely with somebody who is able to choose a product that is suitable for you. Typically, for people who are not investors yet, we typically will start out with low risk investment solutions for them so that they begin to familiarize themselves with those bits first before they then take it a notch higher and then do something maybe a little more risky than low risk options like the money market mutual fund, for example. Now, if you're that kind of investor who you struggle with the discipline to set out these funds on a regular basis, right? And you want to set up some form of mechanism that allows us to automatically say debit your bank account, say where you get credited on a monthly basis. You can do that. And we have, should I say, our investment tool that is able to help you do that, to set up automatic contributions into an investment product with us, right? We're able to do that with you. And then the good thing about working with Zedcrest Wealth, which I must say, is that we're able to hold your hand on a periodic basis, usually quarterly. For some clients, it would vary depending on what works best for those clients, right? For some clients, it could be monthly, but the standard is typically quarterly. We do a review where we're able to check and see, okay, how well have we done so far in this quarter? What are the things that we can do differently, right? And how do we rebalance your portfolio so that we're able to better position your fund to achieve the kind of return that you want to see? We're able to do that, hold your hands and walk you through that journey, as long as you stay patient with us and allow us to provide you that advisory service, right? Now, we have come to the, should I say, other meat of the conversation, which is now our product offerings. We have quite a number of product offerings. There are people who want to start out with savings first. We have savings products available on the Zedcrest Wealth app, which is on Play Store and on App Store. Now, when you download the app, you'll see that we have some savings products and then we have investment products on the other hand. For the savings products, we have the flexible savings that allows you to save any amount of money regularly, but then you're earning something substantial as return on it. We have our flexible savings currently gives you somewhere around even 15% for saving your fund, right? That's a way to sort of encourage you to do that. And the beautiful thing about the Zcrest Wealth app is that it's been designed to support any investor at any part of the investment circle, whether they be beginners, right? Whether they be experts or they are at the intermediary level, right? In terms of their investment knowledge and their experience in investment. We have a lot on that app. You have like the Zcrest Academy that allows you to take modules and understand the basics of finance and investment. We also have a part that gives you weekly updates with regards to what's happening on the global market space, what's happening in the domestic market space, and how all of that impacts your investment, right? And then you're able to, with that information, reposition from time to time, of course, while working hand in hand with your investment advisor, right? So we have those products. We have the target savings that allows you set out a particular target that you want to achieve. Let's say you want to achieve, let me say 5 million by the end of say May next year, just for example, right? And you need to set out a particular amount to reach that 5 million. That product is able to help you along the lines of, oh, how much do you then set aside every month to achieve that? And then for locking in those funds, right? periodically, consistently. And you can also set up that auto debit to debit your bank account and then credit that for you on a regular basis so that you achieve that target that you set out to set for and to achieve for yourself. And you also earn competitive return while doing so. On the other hand, we have locked savings. This is for investors who they want to keep funds aside for a particular project or a particular need, and they want it, and that's like access to the fund to be restricted. They do not want any reason to have to access any bit of that fund at any point in time. For those of us who invest in mutual funds, right, you can relate to what I'm saying. Mutual funds are typically easy entry, easy exits, but locked savings would restrict your access to the fund until the particular time where it's supposed to mature based on how long you set that you want to have the savings locked for. That's for the savings products. On the other hand, we have mutual funds. Now, I'll try and break this down as much as possible because I do not want to assume that everyone on the call has experience in a lot of these conversations, which is part of why I've been careful to choose very simple terms in explaining a lot of these things that I've been explaining so far. Now, think of mutual funds as collective investment. I take some funds from Nkiruka, I take some funds from Favor Akere, I take some funds from Favor Oladapo, I take some funds from you on the call and some other people who are looking to invest funds, and I put these funds together. Right? So one person brings 10 million, the other person 5 million, another person 100 million, another person 1 billion, and all of that. I'm able to put that fund together, right? And then what that does for me is that it strengthens my negotiation capacity, or should I say negotiation power rather, right? Because again, someone who would probably go to the market to purchase a particular instrument where return is negotiable, right? Because there are some instruments where returns are actually negotiable. For example, fixed deposit, as a case in point. Now, as against someone who is going to the market to invest in fixed deposit with 1 million naira, when I pull the funds together and I'm able to raise, say, 500 billion, and I go to the market to invest in fixed deposits, I'm able to negotiate for more competitive return on that fund, right? And then everybody, even the person that has invested 5,000 naira, gets to benefit from that. That's one of the advantages of a mutual fund because it strengthens negotiation conversations around instruments where we can negotiate for more competitive return. Now, me, Zedcrest, that has pulled this money from different investors now, I then go to the market and have those conversations directly with counterparties to have those funds placed at more competitive return, and everybody gets to enjoy from that return. Now, what's the other way to think of a mutual fund? A mutual fund is also a diversified portfolio of investment in different instruments. Think of a mutual fund as a bucket that has different investments in it. Say I've invested in, let me use the money market as an example, the money market fund now. For money market, typically, the instruments we invest monies in would include stuff like treasury bills, fixed deposits, call deposits, commercial papers, even promissory notes. We can invest in all of these things under the money market fund, right? So that then gives us the opportunity to take advantage of these different instruments to boost return potential for the fund over time. So there are times where a treasury bill may not be offering return that is as competitive as a fixed deposit or one good commercial paper would offer me. I'm able to split funds in such a way that while diversifying and ensuring that we don't have funds concentrated in one place, which is also one of the objectives of spreading the money across different instruments. I'm then able to ensure that my investors in this fund get competitive return over their funds that they have invested, right? So now I will then speak to the flexibility bit of mutual funds. Mutual funds give you flexible access to your funds. So for example, you want to keep your funds instead of leaving it idly in a bank account. So people use money markets again as some form of cash management tool. So instead of leaving their funds idly in a bank account, they say, let me put everything, every bit of my penny in the money market fund, right? Where is any money for me every day? Because you actually earn in the money market fund every day. Now, while you're earning on a daily basis, whenever you have needs to access parts or even sometimes all of your funds, is readily accessible, right? And the beautiful thing is that it's open-ended. So you can even have it running for however long you want. And there are no limits to how much you can invest in the money market fund. So there are investors who started out their investment 10 years ago, some started out their investment 5 years ago, some started out their investment 2 years ago, some started out their investment last month, some this month, depending on when exactly they were introduced to it. Now that brings me to explaining the mutual funds in themselves. For the money market fund, right? The money market fund is that type of mutual fund that is designed for low risk investor who wants their capital to be preserved throughout the life of their investment, right? While they earn steady returns on it. So those instruments I mentioned earlier, those are the things that we invest in under the money market fund. And the beautiful thing is that regardless of what happens in the market, whatever has entered your money market account has entered. Nothing can make one couple reduce from your money. And that's because of the objective of that fund, which is to ensure 100% capital preservation for the investors in that fund, right? So everybody in that fund enjoys from their capital being preserved because of the kinds of instruments that we invest in. All those things I mentioned earlier are low-risk instruments, treasury bills, fixed deposits, call deposits, commercial papers. All of these are low-risk instruments where investors put their funds in, and you know that for sure you will get some form of return out of those investments over time, right? Now, for the money market fund, currently return level is around 16%. Then there's the dollar fund. The dollar fund, on the other hand, is dollar denominated investment, right? For different fund managers, right? So that we avoid confusion, because it's also possible that some of us here on the call already invest in dollar funds in other institutions. For some institutions, they have dollar funds that are fixed income biased, which means that for those dollar funds, they invest in, or rather, let me put it this way, that are money markets. Let me say, think of dollar denominated money markets. Yes, I think that's a better description. There are some institutions where their dollar fund is invest in only money market securities. So think of dollar fixed deposits and anything that is within the money market space. That's any short-term debt instrument, right? There are some institutions where all they do under their dollar fund is invest in this kind of instruments. However, the return potential for that would not be significant. That's also because for the dollar space, you do not find a lot of fixed income instruments aside bonds giving you anything substantial as return. So return levels for those kind of funds will typically average around 3% thereabouts. But where you then have a dollar fund that invests in bonds, bond is a fixed income instrument, right? But then you know that bonds are able to then give you, should I say, better return potential, and that's because of what it is, bond, right? Because of the way the bond market works, is able to give you more competitive return over time. For our dollar fund, we invest majority of the funds in bonds. Some part of that fund is invested in money market type of instruments for liquidity sake and the rest, right? But the majority of the fund is invested in bonds. Now we invest in corporate bonds and sovereign bonds. So bonds are typically, for those who do not know what bonds are long-term debt instruments, right? But then they have some form of characteristics of shares in a way. They are not shares, mind you, it's just that they are sort of like volatile. There's the volatility component in bond, and that's because bond prices move every day. Because they are long-term debt instruments, right? They are bought and sold in the secondary market, and that pushes the bond price up, down, and then inevitably the yield that you have in the bond. But then bonds have the potential to give you more significant return, right? In the event that bonds do really well. And for last year, for example, the Zedcrest dollar fund did a 19.6%. That is remarkably outstanding, especially for an industry where you typically see a lot of dollar-denominated investments do single-digit return, but then it did a 19.6%. And that's also on the strength of the fact that most of the funds there in that space is invested in bonds. So that's the potential of the dollar fund, really. Then there's the fixed income fund. That one is the Naira, that one invests in Naira denominated bonds. So for people who want exposure to the bond market, but then they're not looking to invest in dollars, they want to have exposure to the bond market, but then in Naira. That's designed for those kind of investors, right? So I'll go back to the dollar fund. I'll just retrace my steps because I didn't say something about the dollar fund. For the dollar fund, there's some bit of volatility. Remember that I said that bonds are volatile in a way, right? So because of that, the dollar fund, I would say, is suitable for medium to high risk investors, not low risk investors, right? That's because for that space, there's some form of volatility because majority of the funds are invested in bonds. Not to say that it's a bad investment, but we usually will encourage investors in that space to have a long-term view for the fund. The reason why we do that is because markets conditions, again, they're not static, they keep changing. And one of the advantages of investing in a mutual fund is that you're leveraging the expertise of portfolio managers who have experience in playing in that market, right? And they're able to leverage, because we also spend heavily on research work. That's also because we understand that a lot of results in this our industry is driven by market information. So we invest heavily in research work, which then drives the decision of our expert portfolio managers who are able to take advantage of the bond market to ensure competitive return for the bond, for the dollar fund, and also for the fixed income fund too. So, I mean, for investors who are investing whether in the dollar fund or the fixed income fund, because the underlying instrument is majorly bonds, we typically would advise you to have a long-term view for it so that you do not worry so much. So for funds that you're not looking to do anything with, let's say in a year or over a year, would encourage you that the dollar fund and the fixed income fund is somewhere where you can put your funds in, right? So the fixed income fund, like I said, is should I say naira denominated? Think of it as naira denominated bond investment, but then it's a diversified portfolio of investment in different bonds as well, both corporate and sovereign bonds. As long as they are naira denominated, we can invest in it under the fixed income fund, right? And then for the equity fund, finally, which is the fourth type of mutual fund that we have currently in Zedcrest Wealth. This one is for investors who want exposure to the stock market, but they do not want to make the active decision as to which shares to buy and all of that, which is also the advantage for everybody investing in any kind of mutual fund. So your own is you're playing within your risk appetite to say, I don't want to make the active decision as to what they are buying into this fund. Let me leave it to the experts to do that. Mutual funds are for you. So back to the equity fund. Equity fund is for investors who want exposure to the stock market, but they do not want to then bother themselves with the decision of which stock do I buy currently, which one do I sell, which one do I hold, and all of that, right? Our portfolio managers do the work for that kind of client under an equity fund arrangement, which invest in different shares of different companies. And from time to time, the portfolio managers are able to rebalance and reposition to ensure competitive return in that space, right? For the equity fund, for example, year to date, that's done 91%, which means that if you invested, say in January, you invested 10 million naira, right? It means that by now you would have made somewhere around 9.1 million as a return on that, your 10 million that you invested in January. However, equity fund is for high-risk investors who do not mind the volatility of investing in the stock market, right? So for investors who are open to the level of volatility in the equity fund, we are welcome to, on board on the Zedcrest Wealth platform and open an equity fund account if you do not already have an equity fund anywhere, right? So back to the other types of product offerings that we have, which is direct investment in fixed deposits or direct investment in purchasing a particular what's it called? You want to trade in equity market space, but not under an equity fund arrangement, or you want to buy a particular fixed income product. We do all of those offerings too. So the high yield naira, for example, think of it of naira fixed deposits, and returns would range anywhere from 15 to 21%, depending on how much you're investing and for how long. So if you're a low risk investor, this will be good for you because you know that your capital is completely preserved and you will get your return either at the end of your investment or at the start where you opt for interest upfront. And that's also available on the app. We have the high yield dollar, which allows for dollar denominated placement. So you want to do a dollar fixed deposit in simple terms, right? That's the high yield dollar. And returns range anywhere from even a 5% to 9%, depending on how much you're fixing and for how long. And then if we then go to the equities trading, you want to be able to buy stocks and you want to be able to rebalance those your stocks by yourself directly. You can do that even leveraging our Zedcrest security part of the app. So there's a Zedcrest securities module on the app where you can do all of that, right? And you buy and then sell your shares from time to time. Then for the fixed income trading, we do fixed income trading. Just think of it as, just look at this other part that says fixed income instruments. I will explain fixed income trading along the line of that, because fixed income trading is just basically you're buying or selling fixed income instruments. And what are these instruments? They are treasury bills, as listed here. Treasury bills, commercial papers, FGM bonds, and Euro bonds. Euro bonds speak to dollar, forget the name euro. Euro bonds just simply means dollar denominated bonds, right? And there are quite a number of bonds in the markets. Return levels range anywhere from, I know that there are bonds currently in the market that are around 6% in terms of the coupon. Some others are doing 7, some 9, some 8, right? There are different bonds in the market, but they have different tenors, right? And the minimum amount for investing in real bonds is typically $200,000. But where you have someone else who is looking to invest in real bonds, we can work some form of arrangement so that we can merge those funds together and have it invested in a real bond jointly for you. Now, how are we available to guide you in this journey? One is that we're able to clearly guide you around your goals to establish this your goal. Is it a short-term goal? Is it a medium-term goal? Is it a long-term goal? And then when we look at your income and look at your expenses, which you must cater to, we're able to then advise you along the lines of, oh, where and what to invest your money in. The other part where we provide support is to help you build a diversified portfolio. So typically, we do not recommend one product in Zedcrest. No, we even encourage clients to have exposure to as many markets as possible. Is it the bond market? Is it the money market space? Is it the stock market? For those who are open to high risk investments, we typically would encourage you, if that's something that is within your risk appetite, to have a diversified portfolio that gives you exposure into these different markets. And at the end of the day, one of the things about having a diversified portfolio is that you're able to reach your investment goal faster because you have exposure to these different markets. And you know that there are times where, for example, the bond market may not be doing as well, but then you can leverage what the stock market or the money market space is doing to push your return potential on your fund, your overall fund invested across in these different things in that portfolio, right? We're able to do that along the lines of your investment horizon too, which is the time frame for that your investment. The other bit that we're able to do is to offer advisory services to our clients and then coach you through the changing market conditions again, like I stated earlier, right? So we're able to, from time to time, hold your hands. You remember I mentioned earlier that we do periodic reviews with our clients. We do that. And then finally, whatever you find complex, whatever investment jargon you heard online, we are always readily happy to jump on the call. If you see something online by one person who is maybe stock market investor or something, and you want to reconfirm all of those details, we're readily available to have those conversations and to provide context and break down a lot of these concepts so that they are quite understood by you, because we understand that as an investor, it's possible you even have investment in other places, but you're not able to clearly ascertain these products because, you know, as fund managers, we name products different things, right? Different products have different names. And when you see the name, sometimes you're not able to tell clearly what is this one invested in, right? What does this one invest in rather? And you, depending on the quality of the person you're having that engagement with on the other side, that's at the other investment company now, you may not really understand clearly what that product invests in. But I mean, we're readily able to hold your hand, help you understand the basics of everything in the finance and investment space so that when you see these opportunities outside, with a little bit of information, you're able to clearly tell what that investment should look like in terms of risk and in terms of actual return. And you're able to sort of like properly assess these opportunities, right? And decide where to put your funds and all of that bit, right? So another bit is that if you decide that you do not want to go into the nitty-gritty of all of that, but you want us to handle the complex work for you by ourselves, you want us to be able to do all of that technical part. Your own is just you've established your risk appetite, you've established how much you're looking to invest, how long you're looking to invest it for, and all of that, right? And your investment objective. You can then leave us with the work to fix the complexity of that while you then focus on your biz. Right. So how do you start? Right. The best way to start is to download the Zedcrest Wealth app. Right. And I encourage you to do that because this Zedcrest Wealth app is a tool in itself. It's a financial tool that will aid your wealth creation journey. Why? That's because when you download it, you're able to relate a lot better to what I am speaking to. We have a lot of materials there. You can even do quizzes on a regular basis to sort of strengthen your finance and investment knowledge, right? You can do that anytime, anywhere. You can even sign up to quizzes that are scheduled already on the app so that you get reminders and you're able to do that on a regular basis. Even if you say you want to do that daily, you can do that to build your knowledge of finance and investment so that you're better able to make financial decisions and then achieve your financial goals, right? Or investment goals. Now, another thing is that you're able to leverage real life information that we put on there on the app with regards to the global update and the domestic market update that I spoke to earlier in my conversation. You can access that. That is provided on a weekly basis to say, oh, what happened last week in the market? And then how does that filter into investment conversation for me? Where should I be taking position right now in the market? Right? And where there are opportunities too, we put those opportunities out there. And one of the things we're able to do is that, say, for example, I'll use commercial papers, right? We're able to do risk assessments. Yes, commercial papers, when they come into the market, they are assessed by different rating companies, but then leaving your decision to the risk assessment that has been done by those rating agencies, consider that a somewhat risky decision too. Not to say that it's bad to look at the rating done by those entities, but it's also important to leverage advice of fund or portfolio managers like Zedcrest Wealth, who will then do independent assessment of these offerings online and decide, is this a good buy or a bad one? And they were able to advise you along the lines of that. And where we have assessed the commercial paper, for example, and we think that they are good opportunities for investors to put their funds in, we then put it on the app and then you get a notice to that effect. And then you can then decide to invest in that. Now, if you decide that you want to go ahead to reach out to Zedcrest Wealth, see the contact details of my colleagues on the screen. Like I mentioned earlier, Favor Ake and Favor Olalapa on the call to provide you guidance after this session with regards to any inquiry or request that you may have, right? And this brings me to the end of my presentation. Before we take questions, we'd like to do a quick tournament, right, to test what's your level of finance and investment knowledge. And for even participating at all, there are prizes, right? So I would yield now at this point to Favor Ake to take the tournament session. Thank you so much. We'll take questions right after.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for listening to our regional head speak, Victoria. It was a very, very insightful session, and I hope you have so much questions for us. Before we now go ahead to take the tournament, we'll be sharing with you the referral codes that we are going to be using for this session, so we are able to track and effectively manage all our prospects or future clients that will be coming from this financial literacy session, right? So first of all, I would urge us to go to our Play Store or Apple Store to download the Zedcrest Wealth app. So I'm going to be putting out the name here on the chat box in case you just something to help. Download the Zedcrest Wealth app, and while we do that, I was thinking while we download the app, we can actually start asking questions and everything, so we don't waste so much time. So we're going to be multitasking here. So as you download the app, you can unmute or also ask various questions on the chat box. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Favor. I'm hoping everyone is downloading the app. And for those that have questions, please, as much as possible, you can go ahead and ask your questions, or if you're too shy, you can type your questions in the chat box. But I'm hoping that we don't have anybody that is shy here, because I mean, these are all future billionaires and millionaires in the room. So please don't be shy. Any questions? Okay, one question has come through. Are you regulated by any regulatory body?
Okay. To take that question, the Zedcrest Wealth is regulated by CBN and licensed by SEC. So we are regulated by the Central Bank of Nigeria and we're licensed by the Security Exchange Commission. So we have regulated and also licensed to to sell investment products, right? So bank differs from asset management firms. You see your bank and be able to take money and withdraw money. For asset management firms, we are able to take get money from clients to now invest in different financial instruments. So here we have. Any other question, please?
Thank you for that response. I think it was important that we clarified that, because in the past we've seen people who have put in money into some investment companies that did not see the end of, in fact, did not see the beginning. They saw money that they put in, but did not see the end of those funds. So thank you for clarifying that bit. I see another question in the chat. Which of your products would you recommend to someone who earns less than 100,000 in a month?
All right, I'll take that. So to answer that question, the truth is, for someone who earns around 100,000 in a month, don't forget again that what we mentioned earlier was to say we wouldn't just look at what you earn. There are a number of other factors to consider before reaching a decision as to what to invest in, right? You could earn 100,000 naira, for example, but then maybe you already have experience in investing in stocks. It would be really bad to, at that point, deny you the opportunity to leverage products that we have that are equity biased and that can give you substantial return just because you earn 100,000 naira, right? So we'll look at, for example, correctly, like you have mentioned, what the person earns, but the other things would have to look at. It's important to not ignore these other bits because they are very important to the success of that your investment at the end of the day. What's your investment objective first off? What are you looking to do, right, or achieve with this investment? And then on the other hand, what is your risk appetite? I can't shout this enough, right? We'll consider all of these factors before then recommending a product for you. For somebody who is a low risk investor, typically we would recommend that you start out with a money market investment that allows you preserve your fund over a period of time, right? But like I said earlier, for somebody who is a high risk investor, we will definitely then recommend some bit of that fund going to something that is equity biased, like our equity fund. So it wouldn't be a one size fits all solution. But then what you could do is reach out to us after this call, and then we'll look at all of these details for you and advise you from there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Victoria. I see another message here. How easy is it to subscribe to a mutual fund in your app? Some asset management companies process subscriptions in one business day, and others have manual forms. That puts me off. Trust me, I feel you. Tease treasure.
Okay.
Okay, we won't take that. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Victoria. So to invest in, so mutual funds basically are the explanation as to what mutual fund means is when a group of people pull their funds together and invest it in different assets. For Zedcrest Wealth, we have 4 kinds of mutual fund, right? So I want to believe that you are speaking to the money market fund. So the Zedcrest money market fund is just as you transferring your money, the way you would, okay, you go to your bank app and you want to transfer 1,000 naira to somebody. That's just how it works as well. So you transfer from your bank app to the Zedcrest app, which now reflects in your wallet. Then you click on the portfolio that you want to invest in. If it happens to be the Zedcrest money market fund, then it goes in immediately, right? The only thing that you might probably see is that it has a closing time. The way the stock market opens by 9 and closes by 4 p.m., the Zedcrest mutual funds, meaning all the kinds of mutual funds we have, they all have an opening period and a closing period, which opens by 12 a.m. and closes by 3 p.m. Right? The stock market doesn't open on weekends and public holiday exactly the same way the mutual fund works. It doesn't open on weekends and public holiday, right? So the other question also stated that So we do not do a one business day processing thing for our stocks. For none of our products involves you waiting for one business day before you can now then be able to see the investment being executed, right? So we do not have forms as well, right? So if you want to go through the manual process where we share with you onboarding forms, that's on your own. Or I like to fill paperwork, right? So you decide that, oh, please give me forms. I would like to onboard myself through the form way. But if you want to do it by the app way, where you just go to your Apple store or your Play Store, then just download the app. It's good for you, right? So that's why I stated earlier that you can easily just go to your Apple and your Play Store, download the app, use the referral code. Please ensure to use the referral code, which is code COA37. COA37. That shows that every other people or every other person that comes from this session, we can now be able to track them properly and give our advice properly. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think it does. Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much, T's Treasurer. Another question here from KK. Is someone who does not have a Nigerian, who does not have a registered Nigerian number or an address able to invest? I ask this because some platforms require a Nigerian phone number to register and obtain a certain ID before they are able to complete their registration on the app. Can one invest without a Nigerian bank account? I think this is our diaspora people.
Okay. Victoria, do you want to take that?
All right. Okay, so for those of us in diaspora, even if you do not have a Nigerian number, you very well can invest with us. We've onboarded quite a number of clients. We have quite a number of clients who are invested in one product or the other in Zedcrest Wealth, and they do not have their Nigerian numbers on that account, and they're able to very readily monitor and keep track of their investments. We have a lot of people from even Canada, the UK, different countries, Australia, and the likes, investing with us, right? So that's not a limitation at all. You can invest with us. And then for the documentation bit, the truth is that by regulatory requirements, right, if you decide that you want to provide a foreign document to support your onboarding with us, by regulatory requirements, that document has to be notarized by a notary public, right? And that's because it's a foreign document. I mean, if it's an international passport, if it's a driver's license, Nigerian driver's license, I mean, if it's a Nigerian passport, if it's your national ID card or your permanent voter's card, there are ways we verify those documents at our end, right? And then we do not need you to do anything extra when you're on board with those ones. So for those of us in diaspora who would like to onboard and maybe you want to use your foreign IDs, that would be required. You would need to have it notarized. However, if you have a Nigerian passport or you have any of these IDs I mentioned, that's the national ID card, the Nigerian national ID card. You have your voter's card, you have your which one have I not mentioned? You have a Nigerian driver's license and international passport. You can use any of these to onboard as your means of identification with us. And if you have your foreign address as your preferred address to onboard with us via the app, you can use that as well. We'll just still require that your proof of residential address be notarized by a notary public. But then if it's a Nigerian address, you do not need to provide a proof of Nigerian address that is notarized, right? I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Victoria. Guys, any other questions? Okay, I'm hoping that we have downloaded the app now. If you have downloaded the app, please can I see a thumbs up or a yes? Yeah, the referral code is back on. Referral code is COA37. Okay, I see one thumbs up that has downloaded the app. Any other person? Have you used the referral code? I'm hoping that the other people are also downloading. So Favor, let me hand over to you then, since we have a couple of people who have downloaded now.
Okay, thank you very much, Nkura. I'll be going. Okay, so for us that have downloaded the app, please ensure to verify your email address so that we can now proceed. So if you have downloaded the app, you have used the referral code, so ensure to verify your email address. Then can I have like thumbs up so I can know that we are all on the same page? Then I can go ahead with my other navigations as to how to start the tournament. Anybody?
Yeah, so I just saw thumbs up now.
Okay. So if you have downloaded the app, you have used the referral code, and you have also verified your email address, please you can just say hi in the comment section so I can know. I don't want to be too fast. Or if you need me to wait for you, please also let me know.
Okay, I see done. See one is still downloading. Okay, so maybe we give maybe another minute for those that are still downloading, or those that are still verifying emails to quickly get on it. Hoping we can finish this as quickly as we can. But I mean, if you still do have questions, please ask whilst we are finalizing the downloads and the referral codes. Okay. Any other updates downloaded now? Done. Okay. Thanks for the update. Favor?
Thank you very much, Ma. So for for all of us that already have the app, right? So please log in if you are not currently logged in on the app. Then click on your profile icon by your left. You should see by your top left, you see your profile icon there. Once you click on it, click on Game Center. Then once you click on Game Center, you click on Tournament. I'm going to take that again. Log in, click on your profile icon by your top left, click on Game Center, click on Tournament. So I'm still going to take that again so we ensure that we are on the same page. So you log in, you click on your profile icon by your top left, you click on Game Center, you click on Tournament, then you click on Quick Fire Quiz. Quick Fire Quiz. Quick Fire Quiz. Is anybody there? Can I have like a response from anybody there?
Yes, I'm there.
Okay. Good. Thank you very much for following. Okay, so just hold on. Very soon you'll be seeing pop up for this actual FLS. Okay, I'm going to take the directions again. Log in, click on your profile icon, click on Game Center, click on Tournament, and click on Quick Fire Quiz. Click on Quick Fire Quiz. Then you should see Zedcrest in collaboration with Coach Insure. Zedcrest in collaboration with Coach Insure. Please let me know if you can now see it.
Sorry, me, I can't see it. Is it because I already have the app before?
No, you would. You just go back and come back. It's just network or something.
Okay.
Or you can scroll, like you can. Have you seen it, ma?
Not yet. Or do I have to have used the referral code to be able to get it?
Not at all. Not at
Okay.
all.
No, I only see goal for goal, promise friends, investment pop quiz, economy, and game victory.
Okay, you can go back like 3 steps, then come back. Okay, yeah. Someone said I had to go back by 1 step to see it. Yeah.
Okay.
Can you see it, ma?
No, yeah. Let me go. I'm going back. Okay. Yeah. See next.
Okay, so you click on it, then you click on continue. Ensure to join the wait list.
Okay.
So click on continue. So I'm going to take the directions again. As someone said that they are still setting up, so I'm just going to keep saying the directions until he's able to catch up or she's able to catch up. So once you download the app, ensure to use the referral code COA37. Once you do that, verify your email address. Once that's done, click on your profile icon by your top left. After doing that, you click on Game Center, you click on Tournament, you click on Quick Fire Quiz. Then you should see Zedcrest in collaboration with Coach Insure. Ensure to click that as well, right? And join the wait list. So the tournament is going to be starting by 8. Sorry, I said 8, 6 p.m. on the dot. Is that 6? Did I put those 5:50 rather 5:50?
Right. 2
Right. So we
minutes.
have we have roughly like 2 minutes, right? So yeah, so once is 5:50, we can begin.
Just so we know what we're winning. I see beginner question 1 coin, intermediate 2 coins. What will I do with my coins after I win?
So the Zedcrest Wealth app, right, has its own official currency, which happens to be called the Z coins, right? So we are in partner with Childec, Uber, and Secute. These Z coins now convert to vouchers that you can now use to place an order, can use to buy food, or use to order a ride, or use to stream a movie. It depends on you. So for the winners of this tournament, we are going to be giving the first 3 winners Z coins, 50,000 Z coins, 30,000 Z coins, and 20,000 Z coins, which now amounts to 5,000, 3,000, and 2,000 naira, which you can now then convert and use to order something on either Child Deck, order a ride on Uber, or stream a movie on Secute.
Okay. Lovely. Lola,
Okay, so
winning you on this.
In less than a minute, the tournament should be starting. So for any other person that is still yet to catch up, I'm going to be taking the directions again. So you log in, you click on your profile icon, you click on Game Center, you click on Tournament, you click on Quick Fire Quiz, then you click on Zedcrest in collaboration with Coach Insure. Ensure to join the wait list as the tournament is going to begin by 5:50. Five seconds, 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, and 1. Enjoy.
Sorry, mine is saying you need 3 to tango when I click on start tournament.
Sorry, can you take that again?
Mine is saying you need 3 to tango. When I click on start tournaments, it's saying you need at least 3 players on the wait list to start the
Okay,
tournament.
can you go back? It's just probably net. So can you go back like 2 steps, then come back? It should change.
All right, fine now. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Seeing one question that God, I beg.
Well done, well done. I can see we are all having fun. How is it going, guys? Is anybody done?
I'm done, but I submitted it, but I think I know to the best of my ability.
Yes, we're going to do our
There are some answers I saw and I'm like, calm down. Oh, Zedcrest coin, calm down.
Well done, ma. Well done. So who is done aside from Mrs. Nkiruka? Mrs. Lola, are you done?
She said the choke. Our market is
Yes,
beautiful.
I'm done.
Okay. That's
Good
nice.
result.
Clocky. This one is done.
Nkiru, I'm sure
Okay.
you get 10 over 10.
Drum rolls. Drum rolls.
I'm sure you are prized.
So we have come to the fame of truth. So to know who knows it all. Coming from let's start from the 5th position. Coming from the 6th position, we have K Kadieze. So if I didn't pronounce it properly, who is K Kadieze? Is that you?
No, it's not me. It's not me.
Oh.
But I know the person.
Who is that? Raise up your hand. Okay. I can see you. Clock it. You tried. You did good. Well done. So we have Nwa Aba. Okay, fourth position. Clocky. Okay.
Lola
But I
distracted
have
me.
a feeling
That's
you're
why.
butchering people's names. So, Nwa Abba Nibo.
Mwaba. Lola distracted me.
No.
Ah, how?
Okay. Then we have the third position coming in from Dean Annie.
Thank God. Thank
It's
God.
this one, my
This one,
party.
you share with me. This one, you share with me.
Well done. Then second position, we have Trillion. Trillion. Trillion in finance. Raise up your hand. It's not easy. Trillion. Okay, Mr. Well done, Mr.
I love it.
Then to the first position. To the one who made it all. To the one and only finance minister.
There's rigging. There was rigging in this thing.
So we have hold on. The LED. The LD.
Lola, that's you.
It's the Lola D, yes. The LD.
That's why I said there's rigging.
Oh my God.
There's rigging.
Congratulations.
As the INEC official, I cancel this election.
Okay,
There's no INEC here. There's no INEC here.
Go to court.
Okay, you ready to buy suya tonight? Oh my.
Okay. Thank you very, very much to everybody that participated in this financial tournament. Please ensure that this doesn't just remain the first and your only time that you take financial quiz. You can always do that on the Zedcrest Wealth app. We also have an academy that is infused as well on our app, where you can just come in on a Friday or every other day, just take quiz questions, something to just keep you active, right? You can even go in on your proper class where you have a beginner class, an intermediate class, and other sort of things like that, where you just inform yourself, try to understand they say what you consume is how you begin to talk and how you interact, and which is very, very true. So start consuming financial knowledge as well that can help make you grow your wealth and allow your money work for you, right? So the Z coins would be funded to our winners account before close of business on Monday, right? So thank you, everyone. I'll be giving Mrs. Nkiruka the floor now to thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Lola.
Thank you so much, Favor. Thank you, Victoria, and thank you everyone for joining. I had fun, and I'm hoping that we can have more and more of these conversations as we do go on. Lola, if you can please be kind to share the link of our WhatsApp channel also on this chat, so that people can join in. We would keep having conversations around investment, around insurance on there. I don't want it to just be a one-off, and I'm grateful for the relationship we have with Zedcrest. So as many webinars or financial educational sessions that we want to have, I know that they are more than happy to collaborate with us to have these sessions going. I did a video a couple of weeks ago about what we were taught about finance by our parents. What we know is what they told us. And many of us, we heard things like, don't worry, just put the money in the bank. Don't worry, God will provide. Some of us heard, we don't trust the banks. Put the money under your pillow. Some people heard, put the money in your polo. And even in that same parent generation, we still had people who were able to translate wealth in literal terms because they understood what compound interest was. They understood how to multiply what they had. They understood the discipline of investment, and they understood how to pass down that same structure to their own children. The wealthy people do that. Now that we've been passed on whatever structures we have, we need to break the cycle. And breaking the cycle means that we are going to be more financially educated. We know what we need to do. We do it and stay diligent with it, and then teach our children, the next generation, what they need to know, what they need to learn, so that that generational wealth can truly be passed down. And you will not have a case of, there's this joke that goes around that better eat your money and spend all your money now, because you don't know what your next of kin is going to do with the money that you have saved up. But if you have a next of kin that truly understands wealth and wealth management, you will never be worried about that, because you can leave treasures for your children's children, because you know it will not be mismanaged at any point in time. So thank you all so much. Please, the link has been dropped on the chat. Please join in and be part of the conversation on there on the channel, and we will continue to engage as often as we do. If you also want to book a one-on-one session with us at Coach Insure to just assess your risk profile and just advise you on what risk you need to protect yourself on, please do let us know. I remember someone sent me a message in the middle of my presentation and said, talk about travel insurance too, because a lot of people travel and they don't get travel insurance. And I as she said it, I remember that just a couple of months ago, traveling, I'd gotten travel insurance on my flight ticket, but again, my company, because of company governance, if you're traveling, there's also a travel insurance on there. So I flew with Virgin, and by the time I landed Lagos, one of the tires of my boxes had been destroyed. So of course, I sent a message to my travel insurance and also sent a message to Virgin Atlantic. Guess what? I got payment back from Virgin Atlantic for my box. I got payment back from my what's it called now? They are correcting me. My travel insurance company, Virgin Atlantic, and I saved money. I was able to buy the suitcase that I wanted, and replaced the single one that had been damaged, but I also had extra or excess. Now, if I didn't have insurance in any way, form, or shape, I would have been looking for money out of pocket to go and replace my suitcases because one of them was damaged. Or take, for example, you fall ill or something happens to you whilst you are on that trip. Travel insurance also protects or manages your treatment in the abroad or somewhere where you are up until you are brought back to your home country, your base country. And when you are hearing someone spends $35,000 in the hospital and you're wondering, oh, you must be really rich. Sometimes it's travel insurance that kicks in and sorts out the bill. So get in touch with us, and then we will be able to speak with you and advise you on what risk you're exposed to, so that you can really, really build wealth on a proper foundation. Until we come your way again next time, and we're hoping that we can do this as often as we can with more people also in the house. Please stay protected, stay wise and prudent with your finances, and start investing. Today is the best time to invest. We'll see you all very soon. Thank you so much, and have a fantastic night rest. Thank you so much, my team from Zedcrest and the team from Coach Insure. I really appreciate you all. Have a fantastic night rest. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good one too.
Thank you. Bye.